As most of you probably know, considering how many videos I've made on it, every February I attend the model train show at das Dutchman Essenhaus, and 2026 was no exception. This time the show was on February 21st, and after a lot of hyping it up because I was very excited to do model trains again after a long time of not seeing anyone's models but my own, I finally made it there on the 21st, very early into the train show because I wasn't going to make the same mistake as last time, and immediately headed into the bakery to start taking a look at the first models. At the area where you paid your entrance fee, there was this train cookie, which is very cute. Moving on to actual models now, we have this Santa Fe Northern HO scale. However, this area is normally dominated by O scale, and today was no exception. There was this Aero train in the aforementioned scale, this CSX maintenance away car, which was actually here at the last Essenhaus show in 2025, a Lionel S2 turbine in the Lionel Lines livery instead of the PRR one, this very cool shelf, which is unfortunately very backlit, with NYCF units and a couple steam engines, this S-scale American Flyer PRR K4, very handsome if I do say so myself, a Lionel 40th National Convention bay window caboose in a Great Northern inspired livery, a Virginian Railway Trainmaster, this livery looks really good on these, a Target launcher. I don't know what this thing is. I don't understand O-scale. A couple Bangor and Aristic State of Maine products boxcars, which I've seen several times at Essenhaus. A Lionel Century of Operation Diesel, 900 to 2000. Very cool. A large Penn Central boxcar. A custom of South Shore Freight 804. Being a super obscure short line, South Shore Freight doesn't usually get models, so this one is, of course, a custom. It looks very beautiful. I'd love to try making one of these myself in N-scale one day. The same guy who had that also had these EL diesels and a bit of N-scale rolling stock, some of which I bought. And after taking a look at most but not all the vendors in this room, I took a look at the layout in the center, which has been here at every previous Essenhaus show. This year, the trains were a blue EMD switcher hauling 2 coaches and a Christmas tree flat car, a D&H FA hauling 3 Polar Express coaches, and a small tram. The last vendor in this area was selling more O-gauge stuff, including 2 E-unit sets, one in Union Pacific Armor Yellow and the other one in Pennsy Pinstripe. This weird-looking vintage, I think, steam engine. I don't know anything about this. And this cursed Dollar Store McGinnis Scheme F-unit. After that, we moved into the main room of the bakery, which is mainly HO and N stuff, starting with the Susquehanna EMD, Algoma Central and Great Northern units, and then this awesome collection of custom-painted locomotives for a fictional railroad called Chaos Central. Awesome name. This DDA-35 is unfinished, unfortunately. Continuing the HO trend, we have an L&N gray and yellow Jeep. This weird CNW black boxcar. If this exists in real life, can anyone send me a picture of it? This large Western Pacific boxcar. A selection of older locomotives. You can see an Erie Lackawanna, PA in the bottom there. Another selection, this time of F-45s with a very faded war bonnet in the middle. A vintage Penn Central HO scale F unit. A B&O DDA-35. God, I love this thing so much. I love seeing the cursed models and liveries that absolutely would not exist in real life. Over by the test track, we can see that someone is selling a completely custom-made Bachmann-inspired train set. This comes with a Penn Central F unit, a couple boxcars, a caboose, and a full loop of Bachmann track. Also in this area was this CNW Jeep sitting on the test track itself. The guy who ran the test track was really nice and offered to run the GP9 for me so I could get some footage of the DCC sound operation. Also near the test track was a CSX Stealth Scheme OCS F unit. Another cursed model in the form of this BNSF Warbonnet, except it's a Dash 8. And this strange Corning grain hopper. This guy was selling an abundance of N-scale rolling stock, some of which I bought, but I didn't take any pictures. Also from that same area, I found this Union Pacific Snoot Nose SD40. Now, my mom had given me money for this trip to buy things for my birthday, which she would then take and then keep until my birthday actually happened. This is one of the models I picked out for that. And when I got it running, it ran very reliably, so straight in the bag it went. Heading over to the other side of this room, we see these old Autorack carriers in Frisco and CB&Q liveries. These two Ontario Northland SD9s, which have yet to sell despite being here for 3 years in a row. This large N-scale assortment, including H1-9s, an Amtrak F unit, and a Santa Fe war bonnet, none of which I decided to buy. This strange British coach, I have no idea how that ended up here. And this ACL AB set. For only $69, this seemed like a steal, so I headed over to the test track, and to my absolute shock, they both worked very well. I was expecting this model to be broken or run poorly considering its low price, but no, it ran great, both the A and B unit. And I even made sure to test that they worked together well, and yeah, they did, so needless to say, this got bought too. I was very excited for these because purple's my favorite color, and I've been looking for ACL power and N-scale that wasn't broken or crappy or really old or for a decent price for years. And finally finding some at Essenhaus was very exciting. And for a quite reasonable price too. I remember thinking that the $69 was for just the A unit, but no, it said A plus B. I was very happy with this purchase, probably my favorite model I bought at Essenhaus on this day. From that same seller, we also checked out this vintage Amtrak E60. This one was also for a very reasonable price and ran decently well despite being a vintage model. I have no idea what manufacturer made this. If someone knows, please tell me. I'd love to know. I literally cannot find any discernible copyright or anything on this thing. But I love my vintage models, and it definitely fits in with that sort of late 70s, early 80s vibe my Minitrix models have. So very happy with this one too. This is another birthday model for my mom, so don't expect to see it for a while. Now we head back to non-N-scale vendors, starting with this selection of O-scale New York Central equipment. These two Jeeps, one in the Canadian Pacific red and gray, and the other one in the Alaska Railroad livery. This Union Pacific GP15-1, Southern Pacific F unit, Amtrak F unit, and UP Alco. A low-nose Canadian Pacific Jeep and a high-nose Algoma Central Jeep. Another CP Jeep, this time a GP30, and a Regional Transportation Authority F40. A cursed war bonnet Santa Fe FA and a normal-looking Rock Island FA. A selection of CB&Q equipment, including an engine and pretty much the full Zephyr train. This Lionel S-Gauge Berkshire. I had no idea Lionel did S-Gauge this early. I don't really know anything about Lionel, so if that's kind of dumb of me, make fun of me in the comments. An SD9 and a Jeep in
the Milwaukee Road
livery. An O-scale assortment with 2 Model F units and 2 SD40s, one in NYC and one in UP. And Norfolk and Western 611 to finish off this area of the event. After that, we headed downstairs and walked across the parking lot towards the shops. There wasn't much train stuff in here aside from this play table for little kids, which obviously I didn't have too much interest in. Also, look guys, look what I found. This is awesome. It's water fire. This is the coolest thing I've seen all day. But in all seriousness, this area was mostly just a shop with nothing train related, except for these tracks on the floor. So after doing the few non-train related tasks we had to do in Essenhaus, we swiftly moved on to the last building. There we found this O-scale PRR G5 10-wheeler. This large assortment of SEPTA coaches, quite shocked to see representation for SEPTA. A couple Bachmann train sets, which I own all of them.
Concrete!
An Amtrak AEM7 and New York Central something, it's obscured. The ungodly, cursed, mind-melting, disgusting, horrendous, repulsive Jersey Central SD90 43 Mac, except it's somehow a Norfolk Southern Heritage unit. Why? Why does this exist? Who thought this was a good idea? I don't know what manufacturer made this, but whatever manufacturer did, why? After getting over how stupid that thing is, I decided to take a look at the two operating layouts. The first being this large Lego layout, which had a couple engines including this Alco-inspired switcher, this TGV-inspired high-speed train, this NASA livery, I think, switcher, and this small unlettered 040 saddle tank.
goes the people. There goes the little people on the train.
And as always, the star of the show in this area and Essenhaus in general, as well as my favorite layout, was of course the giant N-scale layout. I love this thing. It looks awesome. By the way, this year it had the same metro that had been running on it for a couple years now. An Amtrak train being pulled by their Veterans Unit 42, including a private car on the rear end.
You have 2 of them this side. Or actually, you have 4 of them this side.
And this Norfolk Southern freight, which was by far the most interesting thing at Essenhaus, period, because leading was NS 4002, which, if you know your train stuff, is an AC-44C6M. Now, if you cast your mind back to my N-scale collection video, you might remember that I said this.
I think Chivos actually look really good. I only don't like them because of how common they are. And having a tiny version of a model I see all the time is really cool. If Norfolk Southern C6Ms existed in N-scale, you bet your butt I'd have an entire fleet of them. But they don't.
Yeah, well, this model came out literally 2 months ago, and I had no idea it existed until Essenhaus. I will be buying one of these things when I get the money for it. In addition to the 3 operating trains, there were a few on the layout that weren't, including the CSX freight train with an ace, this absolutely beautiful Conrail Center Cab -8, and this general assortment of engines. You can see several, including a BC Rail C4-8M, which I own. Heading back to vendors, we can finally see a proper Santa Fe -9 war bonnet. This weird switcher, it says MRS. What is MRS? The first model in this area I thought I might actually want was this Illinois Terminal RS3. It looked really cool. It even had custom weathering and compatible couplings. I wanted this for forever, but it didn't work. I took it back to the guy who sold me it, and he was very understanding of the fact that I didn't want to buy a broken model, so he offered to trade me, and I bought a Grand Trunk Western auto rack from him instead. Following that, I only got 2 more pictures in this room, one of the Chicago Central GP9, and the other one of this Jeep assortment, including UP and chassis system ones. During the hallway between the 2 rooms in this building was this awesome small decorated layout, with a passenger train pulled by an Amtrak Phase 4 P42 and a Family Line System freight train.
Of course, they weren't bankrupt yet when that one came out.
Once we finally got into that room, we saw this
The Milwaukee Road
EP5, this weird K4-inspired Atlantic, which I actually really like despite how cursed it is. And on this side of the area, there was some N-scale locos, including a couple B40-8Ws, this Minitrix Burlington Northern U30CG in a fictional livery, and even more B40-8Ws, these 2 in BNSF livery. The bottom one in H4 my dad bought for me as a birthday present, so again, don't expect to see that for a while, although I did buy it. Yeah, I got nothing on this one. No idea anything about this. Here we see an O-scale PRR N1A, very nice looking model. Here we see a fictional BNSF Heritage unit in Santa Fe blue bonnet. An AB set of Missouri Pacific PAs, very nice livery. And here you can see the N-scale jackpot. Most of this was rolling stock. I did buy quite a bit of rolling stock, but I was mostly here for engines. This trip was very rolling stock focused, as you can see by these photos. I didn't decide to buy any cars in here, but I was very intrigued by UP 1979. I love this livery, unlike some people, and really like seeing an N-scale. There's also this cursed Norfolk Southern Conrail OCS hybrid thing. I don't know what this is. It's a custom. It looks cursed. Yeah. And there's also the CP Rail dual flag ST45 and a Santa Fe NNW Y6B. Also Popsicle Jeep. I don't know. I almost bought this because of how funny it was, but I didn't. And now we see the final operating layout of the video. With 2 trains, this I'm not making the joke again Jeep. And this really weird 220 saddle tank? I'm not going to ask questions. And the final few pictures at Essenhaus were of this Lionel 3-rail 10-wheeler. These two, yeah, you get it. F units. 2 N&W Bicentennial units, except they're GP9s. And that was it. We headed outside and walked back to the car. But guess what? We wasn't over, because as we were driving out, we ended up accidentally pacing NS 174 as it slowly made its way towards Elkhart. The train went slower and slower and slower, and eventually we found the head end tied down at Melcher Avenue. The power was nothing too special, with C67 4303 in the lead, but it did have a -9 9970 trailing second, which was pretty cool, although I didn't get very many good photos, as you can see, as the fence and trees were absolutely ruining my angles. I wanted to wait for it to leave, but we were already running late and had other errands to do, so we had to leave. Once I got home, I laid out all my models that I got at Essenhaus for photos. You can see Emma, the ACLE unit set there, Noodle, the Union Pacific Doodlebug, and all the rolling stock I got. And with so much new stuff, I think it's time we do a running session.